Hello and welcome once again to the Waters and Stanton video channel. In the last video I mentioned that I intended to go up to Scotland, to the Highlands of Scotland. In fact I have done so and I'm back. It was a short trip but a long trip. The Highlands of Scotland are something like 550 miles from where I live, which means it's a journey of about 11 hours. I have in the past done it in one go, but nowadays I tend to stop overnight, so it's really a 2-day journey there and it's a 2-day journey back. But it's a wonderful part of the United Kingdom, some amazing scenery and altogether quite an enjoyable experience. I decided to do some HF mobile because I haven't done any HF mobile for a couple of months now. In fact, I think last year, the end of last year was the last time I went HF mobile. I wanted to keep it simple, and so what I did, I took one of the XIEGU G90 transceivers. It's a 20-watt transceiver, doesn't take up an awful lot of current. I used a separate battery, and I used one of the Diamond HF mobile whips. Now the Diamond HF mobile whips I've mentioned before, and I really do like them. They work so well. They're compact and yet they work. You get good resonance, you get good VSWR, and it makes for a tidy installation. I used the magnetic mounts on the family saloon car, and off we went to the Highlands of Scotland. Rather a long journey, but an enjoyable journey. In fact, we were overtaken by a fire engine in the Highlands of Scotland, but because of the hills there, we actually caught up with the fire engine again that had to drop its speed to around about 30 miles an hour because of the incline. And so we were sitting there tootling along at 30 miles an hour behind a fire engine with its blue light flashing. Quite an unusual experience. I have to say that in fact it seemed to be a call that wasn't required because the fire engine drove eventually, turned his lights off, and I think turned round and went back home again. Anyway, enough about fire engines. Let me tell you a bit about my trip to the Highlands of Scotland. This is my cottage up in Scotland, in the Highlands of Scotland, which I thoroughly enjoy operating mobile from. Got a salt lock out there, which is very handy for reflecting signals, and there's a hill over there which is great for reflecting signals. Quite often work the stateside because that reflects signals westwards, which is quite handy. And I have a lot of fun with QRP, but it's a great part of the country. This really is great. I thought I'd come down here to this lovely place in Fort William and just see how well the radio works. It's a gorgeous day, and I decided to operate on 20 meter mobile and see how it all works out, because it's such a nice day. Well, at the moment I'm parked up in Fort William, Scotland, Highlands of Scotland, and I've got a seawater lock there, and on the other side is a hill around about 1,500 foot. Now that hill is in the easterly direction, but what it's doing is reflecting my signals back in the westerly direction, so I've got the combination of salt water and rising ground just across the lock. It's probably about a quarter of a mile away, I suppose, rising to about 1,500 feet, and that reflects my signal back to the States. I get very good results from both Canada and America operating in this position. And I've got just a small G90 here, 20 watt G90 with a built-in antenna tuner and a whip on the roof of the car. It's a diamond 20-meter whip, and with that I can usually work into America and Canada when the bands are open.
Germany Mike 3 Oscar, Japan Victoria Mobile. Thank you very much for your call. 5 and 9 in state of Maine. My name is Krasi, K-R-A-S-S-Y, over.
Okay, Krasi from Golf Mike 3 Oscar Juliet Victor Mobile. Name is Peter, Papa Echo Tango Echo Romeo. I'm running just 20 watts in the Highlands of Scotland.
Well, your 20 watts doing fantastic job because your signal is 5 and 9. Enjoy the driving, buddy, or whatever you're doing with the mobile.
Okay, thanks for 5-8, you are 5 and 9. The Golf Mike number 3, Oscar, Japan, Victoria, okay?
6 to 7 with 20 watts, Peter, very nice. Are you copying Rod in Tasmania?
I can hear him, but I can't copy him. I can hear him in there, but I can't copy him, John.
Okay, well, I'm just curious if he's hearing you. Hold on a second and I'll check. Rod, I'm working a 20-watt mobile station in Scotland. I don't know, but can you, by any chance, can you hear Peter? Over? Okay. Well, there was another station that broke in there a minute ago, right with the Peter's mobile signal. Who was the other station?
Very good. Golf Mike 3, Oscar, Juliet, Victor, you're 5 and 6, 5 and 6, QSL?
Scotland, which I copied, and there's a little bit of QSB, but anyway, a pleasure having you on the frequency. I hope you're enjoying your mobile activities. Best of luck from the crew and pupils here in Vilnius, Lithuania. 73, bye-bye.
I think what I have found actually is I think the 20 watts from the G90 makes a bit of a difference. I have been running 5 and 10 watts, but using the G90 with 20 watts, it gives you that little bit of extra power, obviously. Doesn't drain the battery too much, and the built-in antenna tuner makes it very easy just to peak the antenna matching up so that you get maximum outputs from the transceiver. So let's take a look at what I used. I used this external battery here, which is a 16 amp hour lithium cell, and I've got a little cigar socket there which I can take the power from up to 10 amps. And I fitted a DC plug to the cable on the G90 with a bit of chocolate block. Now on the rear I fitted a right angle SO239 socket because I wanted to place the radio in a soft case, and I didn't want the radio to sit on the cable itself, so I put a right angle connector there, as you can see. And the microphone socket is mounted near the front on the side, so that was no problem, because the case, as you can see, is quite tight, and it's not made for the radio. It doesn't actually fit properly, but it does protect it. So I shoved that in as best I could, bringing the antenna wire from the back up the side and the DC wire. And as you can see, the mic socket fits okay, it just pokes out the top. And there we are, ready to switch it on. Press the button and it all lights up. So yeah, it makes a tidy sort of, tidy-ish case. It was an enjoyable trip, very enjoyable, blessed with extremely pleasant weather. It was around about 18 degrees, which is very good for the middle of March. And of course the scenery is beautiful, and it did really underline to me the advantage of operating near salt water. You couldn't have been much nearer the salt water than I was, because the salt water was just on the other side of that car park wall, and although that lock is tidal, it doesn't go up and down that much really. So the salt water was very beneficial, and of course the hills on the other side. The hills on the other side probably looked further away than they actually were, because the camera had a wide angle lens on it. So those hills actually were somewhat nearer than what they might appear to be in the video. But clearly there is some benefit there. It's difficult to evaluate the benefit of the hills, because you can't measure it, and you can't do a quick flick A/B test and remove the hills. But I'm pretty sure that there was some benefit there. What is the gain with seawater and so forth? What do we expect? Well, I think it's quite dramatic, actually. Again, you can't switch it off. It's there. So you have to sort of estimate it based on what you would normally expect. Now, if I get a 5 and 9 on a 20-watt signal with an antenna that, after all, is a fifth, it's only 20% the full-size antenna. So 20 watts into an antenna which is only 20% the length of a full-size antenna, you would expect that probably we're talking about a gain of 10 dB at least, I would say, probably more. Because I was able to break into American QSOs. I didn't actually record them all, but I was able to break into American nets, and almost always I was heard, and a good strength as well. It always amazes me when you look at how simple the mobile setup is compared with your home station. I mean, my station was sitting on the roof of the car and inside the car, and low power, and yet I was getting such good results. And you know, when you look at it, you think, gosh, how am I getting that performance from a very simple station? Well, of course, we go back to the salt water again, but you don't need to be near salt water. There are gains to be had by parking at the bottom of a hill. That hill can reflect your signal. Likewise, there are advantages to be on top of a hill, because if you're on top of a hill, that sloping ground gives you a bit of gain. It lowers the angle of radiation. So that's one of the benefits, of course, mobile, that you go out and you pick your QTH. You pick your location. Noise is another factor, although I did have some noise actually, because I was in the town of Fort William. But if you go out into the open country, as you can do, of course, in Scotland, in many places, the noise level drops away. And in fact, I always remember when I went to the Shetland Islands a few years ago, and I plugged my mobile antenna in, and I couldn't hear any change in noise level. There was no noise. But as locals pointed out, it's not all good, because what actually happens, if you're in a low noise location, you can hear stations and you go back to them, but they don't come back to you because they've got a high noise level. You might hear a signal from, I don't know, VK or ZL at S5, perfectly copyable. You go back to them and they don't hear you because they've got an S6 noise level. So there is a downside as well, but I think on balance, I would tolerate stations not coming back to me if I could operate in a low noise environment. One thing I have been asked to put on the video channel is that we've now got a brand new stock of the Hustler vertical antennas, the antennas that cover 80 through to 10 meters. There's one that covers the 10 megahertz band, which is the BTV6. BTV5 covers 5 bands, 80 through to 10 meters, and the BT4 covers 40 meters to 10 meters, four bands. Yes, I think I've got that right. Anyway, the news is we've got the full range in stock at the moment. The bad news is that the next shipment doesn't look as if it'll be shipped until well into the summer, which might mean that we don't get any more until the autumn. There is a shortage of parts and so forth, metal items, which are difficult to source. So if you are thinking of buying a Hustler vertical antenna, bear that in mind, because don't leave it too long, because you may find it difficult to get one. I thought I'd mention that because they are great antennas. And I did a video very recently on the Hustler base vertical, and I'll try and remember to put a link below this video, so take a look. As usual, thank you for watching this video. Do appreciate the support that you give me on this channel. And unlike some channels, we don't sort of pump away at, you've got to buy this from us, we've got this is the best price. We hope you'll come to our website anyway and see the prices we've got, or pick up the telephone and talk to one of our chaps. Always happy to do a deal. But I try to sort of put back into the hobby what I've taken out over the last, dare I say, 60 years plus. But anyway, I do appreciate your support. Take care. Enjoy your ham radio, because we're getting to the longer days now. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.